Good morning, everybody. It is me, Miss Felicia, and welcome to episode 4 of our Sunday school series learning about the Beatitudes. So today I invite you guys to stand up with me. We are going to start today standing again, and I vote, it's the morning, maybe when you're watching this, we're still a little stiff and groggy. So I invite us to just get our stretches out. Let's just stretch a little bit together, maybe get our wigglies out. Wiggle, 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 wiggle with me. And if you guys remember, we like to do a welcome question each week. So this week, I invite you guys to think about, have you ever lost something that is important to you? And what did you do about it? So that is the question I would like us to kind of start pondering while we're stretching a little bit together. You can pause the video and talk to your family or your friends around you about if you've ever lost something and what did you do about it, or we can talk together about it while we stretch. I'm gonna bend and touch my toes. I invite you guys to do the same. Touch those toes, everybody. I'm back. So I know I've lost stuff that's important to me. We've all lost stuff that's important to us at some point, I think. If you haven't yet, it's bound to happen to you one day. I know, let's think. One time my mom gave me this ring that was very, very special to her, and I misplaced it and I lost it. And then one day my mom asked me where the ring was, and I was like, I don't know. And so I started rummaging through my room and looking everywhere for it. And eventually I found it tucked away in a little box. So that story had a happy ending where I lost something, but I found it and I didn't get in trouble, which was really, really nice. So yeah, guys, just think about it. Have you ever lost something that's important to you? Let's keep stretching. Let's keep moving, getting our wiggles out. I wonder if you've ever lost a stuffed animal that meant a lot to you maybe, or if you've ever lost maybe a person that meant a lot to you. We can lose people sometimes in our families. I just invite you guys to think about, have you ever lost something that was important to you? And then how did you respond? Or what did you do? Or did you find it or not find it? And how did you feel about that? So I invite you guys to think about that. But also what we are going to do is the same thing that we have done the past few weeks. We are getting ready to go up to the top of a mountain and hear the next part of Jesus's really, really special sermon. Now, here's the thing about getting to the top of a mountain. What do we have to do that we've done the past 3 weeks? You have to climb the mountain to get to the top of the mountain. So again, we are going to pick your favorite way to climb. As a quick refresher, I will show you your options. You can hike, which is just a simple march. You can hike up the mountain. You can throw a rope and use your rope to climb up the mountain. We could use a wheelchair and roll up the mountain like this. Or maybe we're really cool rock climbers and we like to get both feet and legs involved, so we climb it like we're climbing rocks like this. However you would want to choose to climb the mountain, I invite you to do that. I am just going to march in place and hike, and then we are again going to count to 20 and do that together to climb to the mountain to get to the top. So are you guys ready to climb the mountain to hear what Jesus has to say to us today? Awesome. I'm going to pretend you said yes, no matter what you said. We are going to climb that mountain together, and we are going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Phew! We made it. We are using our imaginations, and we are at the top of our mountain, and we are getting ready to hear what Jesus has to say. So guys, now I invite you to use this time to sit down. Let's settle our bodies and let's get ready for today's lesson. Okay? Okay, friends, so now that we are sitting down, we have settled our bodies, it is time to go with today's lesson. So Remember, we are using our imaginations and we are pretending that we are sitting at the very top of a mountain with all of our friends and all of Jesus's other followers, and we are looking ahead, looking at Jesus, ready to hear what he is going to say next. So maybe we could use our imagination and maybe use some imagination binoculars, and we can look around and maybe look at all the things we can see from a mountain. Maybe you can see the ocean, or you can see a bunch of people's houses, or you can see the sky. You feel like you're so close to the sky. Because remember, one of the things that we've talked about is that in Jesus's time, people believed that mountains were holy places and that they were very special places to be with God. And maybe they felt like that because they could reach up into the sky and feel like they were closer to the sky. If you guys reach your arms up with me, you feel like you can touch the sky a little closer. Maybe people felt like that. So remember, in Jesus' time, mountains were very important, which is why we are using our imaginations to be together on a mountain during these Sunday school lessons. So Jesus told all the people on top of the mountain about God's kingdom. And remember, you can think of a kingdom as the way the world works or the way that the world is set up. So remember, in God's kingdom, which is heaven, there is an abundance. So an abundance means there is more than enough of everything for everyone. So there is enough honor, there is enough food, enough money, enough love, power, and resources for every single child of God in this world to thrive. There is so much good stuff waiting for us in heaven, and Jesus wanted the people on earth to know that. So the next part of Jesus's sermon on the Mount comes from Matthew 5:4, where Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." So there were people in Jesus's time, just like there are people today, who were taught that crying was a shameful thing to do, or that you're not supposed to cry, or you don't look tough if you cry. They were taught that mourning or being sad showed weakness, or that it made them look too vulnerable. So many of the rich and powerful people in Jesus's time spent their time trying not to cry because they wanted to seem strong and they didn't want to seem vulnerable. So they would focus on gathering money and gathering control so that they could feel strong and unshakable and they would never need to cry. So in this promise, when Jesus says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted," in this promise, Jesus is speaking directly to people who mourn. So you guys could think of somebody who is mourning as somebody who's crying and feeling kind of sad and not really feeling their best. So Jesus speaks to these people and praises them. Why do you think Jesus was praising the people who were crying or the people who were sad? We are going to think about that a little bit, because I bet everybody watching this, everybody here, I bet everybody here has cried before. I know I have cried. You guys, Miss Felicia is what we call a chronic crier, meaning I cry so easily. It's ridiculous. When I am happy, I cry. When I'm sad, I cry. When I'm mad, I cry. I cry a lot. We've all cried. So why do you guys think people cry? So like I just said, people can cry for a lot of different reasons. Maybe they're really excited, maybe they're angry, maybe they are sad, maybe they are upset. And so they need to cry to show their feelings. Crying shows that we are alive. It shows that we are awake and we are aware of what is happening. Crying shows that we are brave enough to feel our feelings. Crying shows that we are willing to feel our pain. And that pain could be our pain or the pain of somebody else. Crying just means that we are human and we are ready to experience what that means. So you're trying not to block the pain around you or keep your distance from it. That is the wrong thing to do, is to block out pain or block out the things that make us cry, or to just try not to think about them. Instead, we should be focusing on feeling our feelings and feeling our emotions, even if those are emotions that make you cry sometimes. So tears and crying are important, especially when what makes us cry is maybe painful or something hard for us to hold in our hearts. So it's also a beautiful way, guys, crying can be a beautiful way that you connect with God. Did you know that God even cries too? And that Jesus cried during his time here on earth? God cries for everybody in this whole wide world. God's heart is wide and it holds the pain of everyone hurting throughout the whole entire world. So when we cry, it's kind of a way of sharing in God's heart, because God cries sometimes too. So when we cry, we're just doing what we were created to feel. So Jesus promises us here when he says, blessed are those who mourn. Jesus is promising that God will comfort us when we cry. And Jesus promised that God would bring comfort and make things right for all the people listening who couldn't provide for their own needs, no matter how hard they tried, or no matter whether or not they were getting told that they didn't belong because of something they had done, or maybe these people were struggling because of the way the world was set up. And back then, the world was set up in a way that would harm them, and that caused them to cry and grieve. Guys, the world in Jesus's time was kind of cuckoo bananas. The government had way too much control, and the wrong people were in charge, and Jesus knew this, and Jesus knew that this government and the way that the world was working was making a lot of people cry. He knew that, and he came in to say, God is here to comfort you, and God is here to love you, even though you're crying. So one way that God brings comfort is through you. So I invite you guys to hold out your hands with your palms up, just like this. So when you offer your hand or your loving words, especially to someone who is sad, you are God's comfort to that person. Crying together and being vulnerable always helps us belong to each other. Crying and being vulnerable with your friends and with your family and with your community, it helps you get closer. It brings you together. And it brings us closer to God when we cry. So I want you to take that and I want you to put that in your heart, because that is nothing but truth. And I want you guys to believe it, that God comforts us when we cry, and that God actually gives us the gift of being used to help other people that are crying. So for example, maybe one day you come home and you see one of your parents upset or crying. Maybe you could do something to cheer them up. Maybe in that moment, they just need you to go up to them and say, I love you, and give them a nice hug. Maybe when you see a friend crying, you could go up to them and just say, what's wrong? And be a good listener and offer to be a good friend and just sit with them while they cry. There are so many ways that we can take care of our friends or family or people we care about or people we don't even know when we see them crying. Crying is not a bad thing, and God gives us the gift of helping other people when we see them crying and when we see them upset. So now it is time for today's blessing. So you guys know how blessing works by now. Basically, I invite you to hold your hands out like this because I want you to receive this blessing. I am going to say the blessing, and I want you to basically put it in your hands like it is a gift you are receiving, and then I want you to put it close in your heart because it is truth and your heart deserves it, okay? So everybody hold your hands like this, and I am going to give you this blessing. May God bless you when you laugh, and may God bless you when you cry. God understands and is here for you through all of your feelings. So I want you to take that blessing. I want you to put that in your heart because that is nothing but truth about who God is and how great God is. And that is exciting. So today, this week, guys, the family pages were emailed out. I invite you guys to do those family pages together. It has a coloring sheet that goes along with today's lesson. And it also has a couple follow-up questions that go with our lesson. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what those follow-up questions are. So I'm going to ask that families share about a time that they cried and what happened, what made you cry. I want you to think about, how did you feel after you cried? You know, what kind of feelings once you had dried your tears up, how were you feeling after you cried? And then I want you to think about, how can you be God's comfort? Like we talked about how you can cheer other people up. How can you be God's comfort to somebody else this week? I want you to go ahead and think about that. Think about how you could be a great comforter for God. And yeah, I hope you guys have the best week. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I invite you guys to do the family pages and to do the coloring sheets and answer those questions together as a family. I think they are really great questions and they are really important. And I just wanted to remind each of you, again, that feeling your feelings, there is no shame in that. There is no shame in crying. There's no shame in being upset. There's no shame in feeling what you need to feel when you need to feel it. That is the healthy thing to do. And so I always encourage you to do that, because that's what God created us to do. God created us with feelings. And so when we feel those feelings, we're just being human and we're just being alive, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I just wanted to reiterate that and make sure you guys got that out of this lesson, that there is nothing wrong with feeling your feelings. And anytime you are feeling your feelings, and if you want to talk to me, or you want to talk to somebody at our church, or just talk to somebody at your family, just ask. Your family would love to talk to you and comfort you when you are sad. I would love to talk to you and help you if you're feeling sad or upset. So if you want to talk to me, your parents know how to get in contact with me. And I always invite you guys to share your coloring pages with me, or share some of the conversations you're having. I'm super interested and always wanting to know how you guys are doing. So again, never hesitate to reach out. I am going to pray really quickly to bring us to a close. And then I will see you guys next week. So let's pray together. Comforting God, thank you for our tears and how they teach us, free us, and connect us to you. Thank you for holding the pain that makes us cry. And thank you for crying with us. Please use us to be your comfort to someone this week. Amen. Great job, guys. I hope y'all have awesome weeks. Make good choices. Be good for your families. Hopefully, I will see you sooner rather than later. And again, if you ever need anything, your family knows how to get in contact with me. So please do not hesitate. I miss you all so much. I love you guys more than words could say. And I hope you all just have the best weeks. I'll see you again next Sunday with our new Sunday school lesson. So until then, bye.